5 types of mood in English and how to use them. That's the focus of today's lesson. In one of the previous lessons, we discussed the subjunctive mood. We specifically looked at the subjunctive mood, and then in view of the fact that most people don't even know exactly what is called mood in English grammar, it becomes necessary for us to look at the grammatical concept of mood, and then we want to look at 5 grammatical moods in English. So if you are new to this channel, kindly subscribe to the channel by clicking on the subscribe button below. This is one channel where we teach everything English. All the areas of proficiency in English are taught on this channel. So if you are interested in learning English for effective communication, learning English for academic purpose, then this channel will always be useful to you, because every week we upload various videos teaching you different aspects of the English language. But beyond teaching the English language, we also teach how you can use the English language to create content, because in the 21st century, which of course is a digital economy, one of the most lucrative digital skills anyone can learn is content creation. Because if you can create valuable content, then you can monetize the content and create multiple streams of income on various online platforms. So if you are interested in videos like this, then you need to subscribe to the channel, and you need also to click on the bell icon you will find below, so that you will activate the notification system. Whenever I upload a new video, you will receive instant notification. That will ensure that you won't miss any videos whenever I upload them. Now, having said all this, let's dive into the lesson right away. We want to begin with the lesson objectives. At the end of the lesson, you should be able to do the following. Number 1, explain the meaning of mood. 2, mention the 5 types of mood in English. 3, explain each type of mood with examples. Let's begin with the first one, which is a basic question. What is mood in English grammar? Mood in English grammar is the form of a verb that indicates the intention or attitude of the speaker. And when you are talking about the intention or the attitude of the speaker, you are specifically talking about the speaker's mood. Okay? So that is exactly what mood is about. A verb in English has a tense and also a mood. And you know that the tense of a verb indicates when an action occurred, while the mood indicates how the action is viewed by the speaker. You see, so that is exactly. So now when you look at the concept of tense, when you look at the concept of tense, then you are looking at the form of the verb. For example, when you look at, okay, let's look at the verb go. You see that it has different forms. Goes, all right? You have goes, you have went, You have going. You have gone. So you see, these various forms of the verb can either be used to indicate the time of an action or can be used to indicate the mood of the speaker. All right. So that is exactly what we are going to look at. So tense is the form of a verb that is used to indicate the time of an action, when an action occurs. And mood is the form of a verb that is used to indicate how the action is viewed by the speaker. That is the speaker's mood or the speaker's attitude or intention for saying what he or she is saying. So this is exactly what you are going to look at. I just want to give you a little insight into the difference between, or the relationship between verb and mood. They all derive from the verb, okay? But then while tense refers to the time of an action, mood refers to the intention or attitude of the speaker. So we shall be looking at all this. Now, there are 5 main grammatical moods in English grammar: indicative mood, imperative mood, interrogative mood, conditional mood, and subjunctive mood. So we are going to look at this one by one. So let's now begin to look at them. The first is the indicative mood. Now, indicative mood is a verb form we use to state facts. That's one thing about the indicative mood. When you are simply saying something that is based on fact, you are using the indicative mood. And this is, predominantly the mood we use in everyday communication. When you are, conversing, when you are speaking, when most of the time the indicative mood is the most predominantly used mood. Okay? So whenever you make a sentence that presents a statement of fact, you are using the indicative mood. Okay? Let's look at some examples of indicative mood. The children are playing outside. Most of the things we say when we interact. Okay? Messi plays for Barcelona. Russia invaded Ukraine recently. So most of the things you read in the news, most of the things you hear, in news broadcasts, on the electronic media, reports, news reports, most of the expressions used are in the indicative mood. I say most, but not all. Sometimes different moods are used, but predominantly the indicative mood, is used most predominantly. The prices of goods keep rising every day. When we talk economics, when we talk sports, when we talk, uh, news, when we talk computer, and so on and so forth, most of the time we are using the indicative mood. God is a spirit, indicative mood. It rained heavily last night. Okay, so those are examples of the indicative mood. Now let's look at the imperative mood. The imperative mood is a verb form we use to give instructions, orders, or commands. Okay? Now, when we use a verb, we turn a verb into a command or a request. Then, of course, we are using the imperative mood. Okay, there is a kind of omission here. This means that, the imperative mood, makes a verb or turns a verb into a command or request. So that's what the imperative mood does. Okay, just for you to understand. Okay, so now the imperative mood uses the second person as the subject of the sentence, and the subject is usually not stated but implied. When you give instruction most of the time, you don't state the subject, but it is implied. We shall see this in the examples. Close the door. You see, close the door. In this case, the person you are talking to, the addressee, ordinarily you should address the person as you, assuming you are telling someone close the door and the person doesn't even know you are talking to him or her. You can say, well, you are the one I'm talking to, you right there, close the door. So the subject is you, but it is always hidden. When you use the imperative mood, the subject is hidden. If we use the indicative mood, we can say you are required to close the door, or you are instructed to close the door, or you are requested to close the door. But in the imperative mood, the sentence begins with the verb, close the door. Leave the book on my desk. Go outside. Pay the money into my account. Give the letter to Mary. Don't forget your assignment. Okay? So those are examples of the imperative mood, and this brings us to the interrogative mood. Now, the interrogative mood, of course, is a verb form we use to ask questions. To interrogate is to ask questions. Okay? Now, let's look at examples of the interrogative mood. Are you a student? Why did the Prime Minister resign? Who took my book? Have you visited Grandma recently? Whose shirt is this? Have you done your assignment? Is Jane interested in the job? All right, so those are examples of the imperative of the interrogative mood. So we have looked at the indicative mood, the imperative mood, and the interrogative mood. And now let's look at the conditional mood. The conditional mood is used to talk about something that is a conditional state that will cause something else to happen. If this happens, then this will happen, that is a conditional state, and that is the conditional mood. There's something we call the conditional clause, or the if clause, if you like. If this happens, that will happen. That's the conditional mood. Okay, let's look at examples. If it rains, I will not go to school. If you work hard, you will succeed. If I had known, I would have listened to my parents. Unless you pay your school fees, you will be sent home. If he had driven carefully, he would not have had the accident. Okay? So you see, there's always a condition and there's always a result or a consequence. If the condition is fulfilled, then the result will also happen. If you attend the party, Dad will be mad at you. You see, so that's the conditional mood. It states a condition, for something else to happen. Okay, so that's the conditional mood. Okay, so that brings us to the next mood. Okay, the last but not the least, which is the subjunctive mood. Okay, the subjunctive mood is the sentence construction we use when talking about wishes, hopes, and other hypothetical situations. Now, most students are not familiar with the subjunctive mood, and that is why we devoted a whole lesson to discussing the subjunctive mood in detail. And you will find the video if you browse through the channel. All right. We use the subjunctive mood for expressing unreal situations, unlike the indicative mood, which is applied to factual statements. So you can see the difference between the subjunctive mood and the indicative mood. Indicative mood deals with facts or factual situations. The subjunctive mood deals with hypothetical or unreal situations. Things that belong to the realm of imagination, imaginary situations, things that are imagined but not real. Those are the kinds of things that the subjunctive mood is used to express. It is the verb form. Again, you see that it is always the verb form. Don't forget that the verb is the mandatory element of the English sentence. In fact, you can't have any sentence in English without a verb. And to demonstrate how important the verb is in every sentence, a single verb can constitute a sentence. For example, go. That could be a command or an instruction. Go. A single word. Come. Stand. Sit. Okay? So that is the verb. So it is the verb form used to express a hypothetical situation, a wish, or a suggestion. It could be a demand, it could be a, a proposal, it could be a proposition, So those are the different things you can use the hypothetical, the subjunctive mood to express. Let's look at examples, some examples of the subjunctive mood. If I were you, I would resign. This is not a factual situation, it's a hypothetical situation. It is only an imaginary situation because I can never be you and you can never be me. If I were you, so the form of the verb used is were. If I were you, and you see when you look at this, you see that on the surface, this verb form breaks the rule of concord because you use was or is with I. In the indicative mood, you can never speak or write like this. You cannot use I with where. It is only in the subjunctive mood you can use this form of the verb with the first person singular pronoun I. It is either you say I am or I was. Of course, with I. It is only I am or was. But then, if you look at other, you know, other subject, whether singular or plural. Once it is in the subjective mood, the acceptable form of the verb is were. If I were you, if you were he, if he were, if he were there at the seminar, if they were there, if we were there, if you were there, if I were there. So the same form of the verb is used whenever the mood being expressed is the subjunctive mood. So that makes it a hypothetical situation because it is unreal and it is impossible. If I were you, I would resign. But then I am not you and you are not me, so it's really something that is likely to happen. I wish I had wings like an eagle. This is hypothetical. No human beings will ever have wings like an eagle. So it is an unreal situation. It is a hypothetical situation. Henry suggested that we come to his aid. Again, this one is, this belongs to what we call the present subjunctive. Uh, Henry suggested, so that we come, okay, that we come to his aid. Again, the form of the verb here is come. It is the base form of the verb that is used in most cases for the present subjunctive. So even if we use a third person singular, which ordinarily should take comes, if we say Mary suggested that Rose, come to his aid. You cannot say that Rose comes to his aid. It's the same form of the verb come. So whether the subject is we or I or you or she or he or they, the same form of the verb is used. That's one thing about the subjunctive mood. The committee recommended that the head of service be sacked. Be sacked. Okay? So you cannot say that the head of service is sacked. No, be sacked. The form of the verb used is be when it is the passive form, because you can now you can remember the difference between the active sentence and the passive sentence. The active is when the subject is performing the action, but the passive is when the subject receives the action. Okay, so that's exactly the way it is. It is necessary that every member obtain the identity card. Obtain, not obtains. Okay, so, and this brings us to the end of today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you like the video and share it with your friends and relations. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, kindly leave them in the comment section below. I look forward to seeing you in the next class. Goodbye for now and remain blessed. Many thanks for watching today's video. A big thank you to all of you out there for being part of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, kindly subscribe to this channel. Subscribe now as a way of giving us support. For notification about new videos, click on the bell icon. You will find the bell icon. Click on it so that whenever a new video is uploaded, you will be instantly notified. If you have actually enjoyed the video, like and share the video with your friends and relatives. This is very important.
If you have any comments, leave your comments below. Any questions, any suggestions, we would gladly receive them and respond promptly and positively to them. See you in the next video. I look forward to always seeing you in the new video. Thank you.